Welcome back, Endgame community. I'm Pierre, he's Chris, and we're here to help you out for week 5 with our must-start running backs as we do every single week. Now, we also have another giveaway this week from our sponsor, Bear Clothing, proud partner of the Endgame. And I'll get to that a little bit later on in the video, but first, let's start out with the running backs. So Chris, tell me about the first guy you feel must be in your lineup.
I know this one's going to hurt you, but it's Darrell Henderson. I mean, this guy is a must-start every week. He's on the field and he's healthy, right? Came back. There were some concerns. Maybe Sonny Michel would get some run. Well, he didn't get any run or hardly any run. Darrell Henderson plays almost every single snap, gets pretty much every single running back touch, gets enough targets to be viable in PPR formats, is on one of the best offenses. So he checks all the boxes you want, from a workhorse must-start running back. And this week especially, going against Seattle, Rams favorites in this matchup, and Seattle giving up the second most rushing yards per game in the NFL. Not only that, they're running the fewest snaps of anybody in the NFL, and their opponents are running over 75 snaps per game. So plenty of opportunity for Darrell Henderson in this one. He is a must-start in your fantasy lineups for week 5.
I have to agree, grudgingly agree. Now look, Henderson is the real deal. He's a very effective runner. Michel doesn't look like he's going to cut into his snaps too much. So yeah, you got to start him. Now, a lot of people should already know that Nick Chubb is an every week must start. We don't talk about him on this video because there's no question. You start Nick Chubb every week. Some people still don't know that Kareem Hunt is pretty much an every week start. And at this point, he's solidified that role because, well, he has outproduced Nick Chubb so far this season. I know it's early. I know game script changes things, but here's the thing that Hunt is doing and Chubb hasn't done lately is score touchdowns. We thought Chubb is clearly the goal line back, but we've seen Hunt get in there and score while Chubb hasn't the last couple of weeks. And look, this is nothing against Chubb in any way. Like there's no reason to panic or worry or pull him. Nick Chubb still had a 100-yard game in week 4, but Kareem Hunt's getting more fantasy points because he's scoring. And also we know he is the pass catching running back there. And so that's a floor that Nick Chubb, frankly, doesn't quite have. I mean, again, you're still not ever benching Nick Chubb, but you should be starting Kareem Hunt no matter what the matchup is because Kareem Hunt can be just as effective in fantasy. Going against the Chargers, you'd think, not a great matchup. Chargers are pretty good, but really, this is a reverse funnel defense. The pass defense has been really stingy so far. The run defense has been pretty bad. So you can fire up both of these guys with no problem in week 5. Guys, if you like what we produce, especially if you're enjoying this video, take a second out and just give us a like. We definitely would appreciate that. All right, so let's keep going. Chris, give me another must-start running back.
You got to start playoff Lenny this week. With Gio Bernard out, even with Gio Bernard healthy, which, he may or may not be healthy here in week 5. I don't think it matters. Fournette still gets enough receptions. Ronald Jones, he gets mixed in. He did get the touchdown on Sunday night, but Fournette gets the bulk of the work. He's the clear number 1 running back there in Tampa Bay, and they're going against your Miami Dolphins. And I'm sure you know as well as anybody, Miami Dolphins can't stop the run in any way, shape, or form. Jonathan Taylor just had a great game against them. No reason to think Leonard Fournette cannot do the same. Miami allowing the 6th most rushing yards per game on the season. So give me the lead back there in Tampa Bay, a guy who also catches enough passes to have plenty of PPR value. Get Leonard Fournette in your lineups. He is a high upside RB2 in week 5.
Yeah, I unfortunately have to agree there too. The Dolphins aren't stopping much of anything these days. Supposed to have a really good defense. Don't have really very good of anything these days. All right, so James Robinson, you were worried about him. Don't be. Somebody that Chris recommended as a must-start last week, and you were thankful you put him in your lineup. Do it again this week. I'm going to say roll with James Robinson for sure. Look, the fact that DJ Chark is now out indefinitely with his fractured ankle, it means they're going to rely on the run even more. I think it took a couple weeks, but finally Urban Meyer has figured out that you need to run the ball in the NFL. He did that, and so we're going to see a return to James Robinson, dare I say, of 2020, where he's getting the usage. Carlos Hyde isn't seeing nearly as many touches anymore, and so James Robinson is finally back to being a solid RB2, even in Jacksonville, because they need him, right? They absolutely need to take the pressure off Trevor Lawrence. They figured it out. Tennessee is next on the slate. That's not a fearsome defense, so absolutely no worries with James Robinson. Keep him in your lineup at all times. All right, so a little earlier I mentioned a giveaway from Bear Clothing. So here it is. If you want to get in on the action, all you have to do is 2 things. Real simple. Get on Instagram. Hopefully you're already on there, and follow Bear Clothing, and then leave a comment with the answer to this question. In week 5, the Chiefs and the Bills are going to play each other in what should be the game of the week. So the question is, how many combined passing yards are Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen going to have? Leave a comment with your answer. Whoever gets the closest wins a free shirt. Compliments of Bear Clothing. Again, give them a follow. They appreciate it. All right, let's keep it going, Chris. Give me another guy that you absolutely must start in week 5 at running back.
Yeah, didn't think I'd be mentioning this guy this year. I was pretty low on him, but it's DeAndre Swift. And, most of us were right about Jamal Williams having a significant role, but it doesn't seem to really matter for DeAndre Swift. I know he had a little bit of a down game last week, but he still had 6 targets. And you got to think, in this matchup against Minnesota, the Lions may not be playing from behind, but it's probably going to be a game with a lot of points, and a lot of throws. So you got to think DeAndre Swift, while he doesn't do a ton on the ground, he should have a monster game through the air, similar to what we saw the first 3 weeks of the season. So don't worry about last week's game against Chicago. Look, last week was a weird week. Chicago put together some seriously long drives and kept that Lions offense off the field. Not going to be the case this week. I think Swift, sees 8+ targets this week, not to mention, 8 to 10 carries. That alone in a PPR league makes him a must start.
Yeah, definitely. Swift, everyone overreacted to the first 3 games and how heavy he was being used. And, he's a fantasy RB3. And then he has a stinker like last week. Now everyone's going to do the opposite and say, well, he's not what we thought he was. He's fine. Good matchup. Roll him out. So speaking of overreaction, Cordarrelle Patterson, best player in fantasy? No, he's not. But we can't ignore what he's doing. We can't. Okay, believe it or not, as of right now, 4 weeks into the season, he is the fantasy RB2 behind only Derrick Henry. Let me say that again. Only Derrick Henry has scored more fantasy points in PPR leagues than Cordarrelle Patterson, who is not even a running back, okay? So this running back wide receiver hybrid, who wasn't even expected to be used in Atlanta's offense, is kind of the key to their offense, which tells you more about their offense than anything else. But look, we can't just ignore what he's doing. Now, is he going to finish as the RB2 by season's end? Probably not. But the fact is, Mike Davis just not getting a lot of touches in that backfield. Patterson's being used as a receiver and occasionally carrying the ball. Of course, his main asset is as a receiver. There's a guy with a super high floor because of that pass catching ability. He's getting in the end zone every which way. So I know you say, well, you don't want to chase the touchdowns, and he's not getting as many touches as a lot of guys at running back, but he's getting the touches that count, and he does have that floor. So at this point, we've seen that the Falcons value him a lot. And so we have to follow that, mindset where he is going to be important and he's going to be relevant. Going against the Jets, give me a reason not to start him. So you picked him up, you want to use him, you bought low on him. Whatever the case is, I'm absolutely trusting him going forward. All right, before we finish out with 2 more must-start running backs, guys, if you enjoy our content, not just this video, but everything we put out, consider supporting us. We do have a Patreon membership that's available for the low price of $4.99, and you get exclusive access to our Start Sit show every Sunday morning, members only. So again, check out that information in the description below. Click the link and see what it's all about. All right, Chris, one more guy at running back that you absolutely love this week.
I can't believe I'm going to say this name, but it's Zach Moss. I mean, you can't not like Zach Moss in week 5. He scored a touchdown in 3 straight games, and we talk about it all the time. You can't bank on a touchdown every single week, but I think you can bank on a touchdown again here in week 5 because they're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs, who can't stop anybody through the air or on the ground. We've talked about it. The giveaway is Mahomes and Josh Allen combined passing yards. This is going to be a total shootout. Chiefs 4th worst against the run this year. Just a really bad defense all around. So you've got to trust Zach Moss for another week because A, he's getting the bulk of the touches there in Buffalo between him and Devin Singletary. And B, like I said, he has a great chance to score another touchdown this week. So if you've been rolling with Zach Moss, keep it going. for at least one more week.
Finally got you over to the Moss side. I knew you'd come over eventually. Look, I'm not saying he's like every week must start or anything like that, but you can't ignore it. He's being productive. All right, and so now it's time to switch back to Damien Harris as a must start. Had him as a sit last week. Thankfully, hopefully you listened and you sat him. Somehow managed to get negative rushing yards against Tampa, but again, not surprised because that's what we called. So in this case, you absolutely put him back in your lineup because the game script will be positive. They're facing Houston. Need I say more? Obviously, bottom 5 rush defense, bottom 5 everything really. So the Patriots will establish the run. Harris will get a lot more touches and it will be a lot more productive with him. So this is the week where you definitely put Harris back into your lineup. The fact James White is hurt and out for the season, Damien Harris went crazy and actually caught a couple of passes last week too. That he had more receiving yards than rushing yards. May not ever happen again in his career, but this is a guy that will get the usage. So feel confident and keep Harris in your lineup for this week. All right, guys, that's it for must start running backs. We'll do this again for wide receivers. Check out that video and so much more and all the information down below in the description. We appreciate you watching. Good luck in week 5.